Hey, Alpha fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today on Alpha Commission, I just want to again congratulate our Kadena crew over here at the Alpha fam because what we have done is actually truly amazing. We've taken our trades from the bottom of the market, the literal bottom of the market, and taken it all the way to, in fact, our stretch goal. Now, you guys may remember that we established this stretch goal several episodes ago, and that we have just been buying in ever since these low levels and then strategically selling along the way so as not to be trapped on any of these potential pullbacks or on the volatility of Bitcoin. Now, on the last episode of the market updates for Bitcoin, I did suggest that there would be some high volatility coming up on the 4 hour, and that it could take a couple 4 hour candles for that to play out. And sure enough, what we saw on Bitcoin was just a leap up above that critical threshold that I set out of $23,300, which would suggest that we would break to the upside. Of course, we had several other things going for us, which was, of course, this potential wedge being formed here, this ascending wedge, which could have us go all the way up to at least 25,000, if not potentially more, right? Because we could break out to the upside depending on how higher time frame volatility works out. But the critical support here for the lower time frame volatility was that threshold right here that you can see that I set as $23,300, and we did in fact secure that number for a 4 hour candle. Let me just switch over to the 4 hour here for a 4 hour candle and just a strong breakout. Now, if we had broken to the downside of 23,000, that would have put us in a very precarious place where perhaps these charts would have broken to the downside. And so this was a very, very critical area for the market to be watching, yesterday, right? Yesterday. And as we pressed to the top and actually broke out of this kind of mini wedge within the wedge, right, which itself was actually just constituting part of a probably larger ascending wedge, we can just see that we did hold on to that critical support area of 23,300, and we just had an explosive move off of that. You can go ahead and check my volatility alert, episode, and just remember, volatility is direction neutral. It can go down or it can go up. Those type of alerts are not implying that you're in danger. That type of alert is implying that you have to be ready for an explosive move either to the upside or to the downside, and so you have to protect your positions either way that you go. And as we have been trading Kadena, of course, we did have that consolidation at the top of the range after we had discussed that this diagonal would be extremely difficult to break through. And in fact, we did break through it. So, as mentioned in the last Kadena episode, having broken through this, even if you had sold off before this critical limit here, right? We got blocked here, we got blocked here, we got blocked here, we got blocked here, but we finally broke through it. And then using that as support, we had this opportunity. And I mentioned it might be a little bit risky for some people, but that it could be worthwhile to buy in this area right here on this diagonal trend. You can go ahead and review that yourself in the episode just for some evidence. And I was out as long as we were under this diagonal, but having pressed through it and not being rejected down to these lower zones, right, the mid-range, we did successfully extend our range to the upside over here. And now once again we have extended our range again, and perhaps we can even move our stretch goal this time to a higher level, right? Like perhaps up here. And let me just delete that redundancy, and then we can just move this stretch goal back. Now, does that mean that we're just going to pounce, through that area? Probably not. I mean, this is a very explosive move. If we do just continue going, um, that would be quite dramatic. I'll have to do a little bit more evident, analysis to see exactly how far we could move on this, on this current pop. But what you can see right now is that Bitcoin didn't get limited by its own, kind of a little wedge that we have going here. Of course, the wicks on Bitcoin are in this, are up here more or less. So we did get limited by, let me just zoom in here. We did get limited by basically this area right here. You can see there's a nice wick there, right there, right there. So we're fighting a little bit of this chop along this diagonal, and that's why we're getting a little bit of this resistance right here, a little bit of that kind of horizontal, kind of slightly diagonal resistance, but overall, that we do have the potential to keep going if we can press through this. Now, this isn't, meant to be drawn perfectly. It's only meant to be drawn, to be just kind of a visual interpretation of the actual movement of price. And so I will adjust this as price moves along. This one right back here, let's actually change this because this isn't support, so I shouldn't make it green. Just make it yellow. This one is suggesting what the formation might end up looking like. So if Bitcoin does push up to that $25,000 area, more in line with this kind of ascending wedge formation, then it could break out of its own resistance, right? This is a resistance area. That's why it's colored red here. We've had it red, right? So if it breaks out of this resistance area cleanly, then perhaps we can extend, Bitcoin's own box, right? Its own box to perhaps a higher level, including some of those topside targets, which could include that area up here, around perhaps even $29,000, right? So for Bitcoin, we really do have that stretch goal for it, around here, around here in this area, which let me basically get this breakdown candle over here. And then yeah, let's just keep this whole area. This is kind of a zone where we broke down from. So for Bitcoin, this is going to be kind of our stretch goal target. If we can maintain our momentum to the upside. But until then, we're really just dealing with this wedge. We're still dealing with this resistance box that we have here. We have pushed through this resistance, kind of heavy resistance zone. Once again, just kind of like cut through it, went straight to the top of my triangle area, pardon me, the purple rectangle area, right, which was pretty much to be expected, to be honest, unless we had lost that 23,000. And that of course carried some of these other coins like Kadena forward. Now the reason I'm making this episode is just to suggest that of course this having been our previous stretch goal target, right, which we've just moved up, then it's probably a good place to be taking some profit, and considering that there might be some type of pullback in this area as we are facing resistance in this zone, right? And this resistance is likely to be fairly real, as we did have a pretty good sell-off, in these areas a couple times. So guys, I didn't really modify the chart in any way. I just tried to synchronize the colors across to my charts. I've been using just kind of a wide variety of different colors and different um, kind of symbols for different areas, and I'm trying to coordinate that a little bit more so that if we look at one chart, it's going to, basically show the same type of style between the different charts. And also, let's see. I think these buy and sell boxes are no longer that relevant because this is just the history. But you can see that we bought in to Kadena. This was the high recommendation to buy in on these higher lows on this accumulation as we started to put in this kind of Wyckofian kind of accumulation pattern down here. And then we did, of course, just have this leap. And then we started to buy in on the leaps. I jumped the gun a little bit with this one. I admit that was a mistake. I ended up taking a little bit of a temporary short-term L on there, but you can see that overall that still would have resulted in a 41% play as this pattern continued to be put in on many charts, actually, not just Kadena. And overall, of course, we have just since the beginning of tracking this, we are now 60% up. So quite a good play on our behalf. And of course, if you have been buying in at these buy areas and then selling at these kind of targets, which by the way go along with resistance, right? It's not like, these things are being said after the fact, okay? Like we establish these resistance zones and then we're selling there. So we know that this was resistance. That's why the stretch goal, right? That's why the stretch goal was set down here because we knew we could pop up into this area and that it was going to be resistance right underneath there, right? So this isn't me like fiddling with the data after the fact. Our stretch goal was set down here. We hit it. That's now our resistance area, and we haven't yet proven that this is support, right? We did pop off of it, but we haven't proven that it's support. And so if this, price action comes back down and we get a little bounce or a little retest, something around here, then that could potentially just launch us even higher as this wedge kind of extends itself into this upper area, as we did get an extension out of this. And so I'm going to go ahead and just, make this line even taller because it totally just broke through this limit that we had here on the chart within one move. I was expecting maybe like a couple candles to push through there, but it really just did it on one candle. So congratulations, guys, if you caught that. I think that the Kadena crew over here at Alpha Fam has just been doing extremely well, and so yeah, congratulations. I mean, we literally caught the bottom, not just once, but twice, and then have been able to ride it up this whole way. And yes, you can be in and out of the market while still continuing to trade something because it's okay to take your profits and pay yourself along the way. You never know when the market can just turn around or when any of these assets can just totally retrace. And most likely, the stock market is going to turn around at some point. The stock market cannot just go straight up forever. Okay, at some point there will be a pullback on the stock market, and that is, of course, going to drag, Bitcoin, and it is going to drag crypto down. Now, are we going to be able to basically retest the lows? I'm not sure about that anymore. I think the dynamics of the global economy, sorry, but the macroeconomics of the United States might be changing a little bit, and so we may have to reevaluate that in the fall. But until then, we're just going to trade the charts as they present themselves. Alpha Fam, I mean, we don't have to front run. We don't have to front run any of these, situations and scare ourselves. So I want you to always remember two things that I always say, right? Which is number one, always be taking your profits, right? Always be selling. Don't hold on to these coins in an overall downward market, And just if you need some perspective, just zoom out and understand what can happen to you if you're just holding these coins. And even if we're at these levels, you can always lose 90%, okay? Don't think that you're immune from pullbacks, okay? Pullbacks will happen. And while I've been saying for many, many episodes now that we're finally at safe levels where, if you did decide to DCA in and you did decide to make a small hold, hodl bag as we start to prove perhaps bullishness on the charts, then, you know, I wouldn't be against that. It's just personally not my advice. I'm a trader, not a hodler, right? But I think that once you're in kind of the lower third, right? The lower third of all of your all-time high, then never DCA in up here. But, just trade up here. And if you want to DCA in a little bit, in these lower levels after you hit a floor, once you've broken like the third way, a third of the way down, then, okay, maybe you can DCA in a little bit like that. But overall, we don't know how this world can go. And so it's a good idea to be paying yourself along the way, along the journey, and to put food on your table, and to don't be too loyal to these coins because they're not going to be loyal to you, right? Something that my friend Crypto Retta always says. He says these coins ain't loyal, right? And so guys, like, there probably will be a retrace at some point, and you're gonna be happy that you pocketed some profits. But when I say always be selling and always be taking your profit, which is this is the motto of this channel, guys. It doesn't mean that you can't buy back in a pullback, okay? Just do it strategically. If we move up 10 to 20%, then you probably want to be taking some profits. And then when we have pullbacks of 10 to 20%, you probably want to be buying back in, that sort of thing. And you don't always have to be trading the same coin. You can move from a coin that has pumped to a coin that has not pumped. And then when that coin pumps, right, take profit off of it and then come back to the old coin that you were trading when it's on a low, right? So that's up to you. Obviously, I'm just talking to myself in these episodes. I'm trying to make myself a better trader. If you guys are enjoying the content and if you're enjoying, improving along with me as just lifelong learners, so that we can be, really great traders in the next, upcoming bull market, then feel free to join me in the Discord. The links in the description of the video below. And also, I thank you for watching. That was your alpha for the day. Stay safe. Congratulations again to the Kadena crew over here at Alpha Commission, and happy trading.